Welcome back, everybody. I'm Sean LaFlock. I'm here with Scotty Hagnes. This is the Fitness, Wellness, and Longevity Podcast. Scott, how goes it?
It goes good. I am
You were
coming.
you were in a definitely a unique locale right now, Scott. Can you share
I
with
am
us where
not
you're
at.
at?
I am not in CrossFit Portland. No, I am in the Santa Fe Depot in downtown San Diego, waiting for a train.
Uh,
I've been I've been here for a week with my wife and her mom and stepdad, just kind of having a fun, relaxing trip. But now I'm headed up to LA for a week's worth of bike riding and a big jam on my flatland bike. So
nice,
they're
man.
flying out, and I'm taking the train up north, a couple hour trip.
That sounds
And it's
solid.
and it's pouring rain here.
You brought the rain. The one place where it never rains, you brought the rain, Scott.
Yep.
You should be very proud
It
of
looks like
yourself.
the next couple of days. I think we were going to ride this afternoon. We're getting rained out. I think tomorrow we might get rained out.
Oh boy. Well, it gives you an opportunity to hang out with your buddies, I guess.
Yeah. Anyway, what's new with you?
So yesterday I competed in the RIP Games, which is a competition. It was every hour on the hour, a 10-minute workout. It was partner style, so all the workouts were done with a partner. My legs are pretty destroyed right now, and little like the bar, like the kettlebell resting on my shoulder, and your upper traps are a little sore. But overall, it was a pretty fun experience.
Nice. Yeah, just a couple minutes ago while I was waiting for you, I saw some pictures from that.
Yeah,
Looked
it was interesting. It was like a throwback to like the 2010, 2011 regionals where they had it at like this Jacksonville rodeo grounds where like they
I,
had they had all the stuff set up inside it. I mean, it's a great setup just because it's easy for spectators to see and that kind of stuff.
it totally
Um,
reminded me of when ours used to be in the fairgrounds.
it,
The regionals was in
yeah,
the yeah.
exactly. It's nice. I mean, it's set up for it. You know what I mean?
Hmm.
And then, it's the way they format it is they basically use the entire floor and they go across it. So like workout one is on the first quarter of it. Workout two is on the second quarter. Workout three is on the third quarter, and then the last quarter of the infield, so to speak, is that's where they're doing the workout. So you do a workout. 50 minutes later, you do the next one. 50 minutes later, you do the next one. 50 minutes later, you do the next one. So it's pretty cool. It's really well run. Had no real bones about anything. There's some stuff with the scoring of just like taking forever to get that kind of stuff done, which is just logistical, and they just got to get some new software, just maybe get a couple more computers going. But overall, it was a very very good experience.
Cool.
Yeah.
Yeah. What were some of the events?
So the first event was all of these are a 10-minute workout, AMRAP for 10 minutes. The first one was 15 thrusters, 15 burpees over the bar. That's partner one, while partner two is rowing for calories. And then obviously you flip flop each round.
Yeah.
And the thruster weight for the intermediate division, which I did, was 95 pounds. For the RX division, it was 115. So for the RX or for the advanced, it was pretty gnarly. I think for me, it was perfect just because those 15 thrusters I could get through. But, they weren't destroying me. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Burpees and thrusters are always a
Great
nasty combo,
combination.
right? Yeah.
So just kind of like finding a nice, smooth pace on the row, around 1,100 calories per hour, a little bit more than that sometimes. But it was more about like being able to stay consistent on the thrusters and keep moving on the burpees. So that one went fairly well. The second workout was an IGO Yugo of 6 hang power cleans with 155, and then 12 step ups to a box. So I mean that was
With the bar.
challenging for most. For me, it was a joke just because the front rack position isn't an issue for me. Like most people, you can only the rule was you had to front rack it with one hand. You can't use your other hand. So the other thing was the bottom of the bell could not be, or the handle could not be facing straight up. So you couldn't just sit the kettlebell straight down on
Park
your
it there.
arm. You
Yeah.
either
Hmm.
had to hold the handle in some way, this or that.
What
So
was
I
the
don't
weight of the
know.
kettlebell?
It was a 24 kilogram.
Okay.
So for me, I don't know. I picked it up. I was like, I'm gonna just do it like this. So I held the candle, and the bell itself was holding right here. So it's almost like you're doing a bicep curl, and I just stuck it right here and just cruised through.
Oh, nice.
For me, I think I was probably the only person to do that, but I was flying. Like I had no problems getting the kettlebell in a comfortable position. and it wasn't like pulling on me. You know what I mean? I wasn't trying to front rack it. So just imagine doing like, you know how some people, when you're trying to show them a front rack position, they'll take a supinated grip and they'll just do that because it's
Yeah.
just more. If you think about it, it's just more natural to probably do that, just because your
Uh-huh.
wrist doesn't have to pronate all the way over.
Yeah.
You know, so I just
Hmm.
took a supinated grip, stuck it right here, and was just flying. So that was no problem for me. My
Nice.
my partner has some limitations and restrictions in his front rack position, and the fact that I think about 4 or 5 months ago he was in a boating accident and has thumb ripped off. So
Good.
basically, his thumb from here and above is missing. He's got like a little nub here.
Oh
So,
man.
which was the inspiration for our team name, Three Thumbs Up.
Nice.
And then
Nice.
the next event was a chipper, which we actually won. Started off with 200 double unders, 100 push ups, 75 dumbbell snatches with 50 pounds, 50 toes to bar, and then 25 chest to bar pull ups. And it was an AMRAP. So if you got to the end, you would go back to the top again. We made it through, then did another 200 double unders, and then did like another 15 push ups or something like that. So that was a super, super solid one for us. And then the finisher, the final workout of the day was one person rides the assault bike while the other person does 5 deadlifts at 275 right into a overhead walking lunge 30 yards. So 45 feet out, 45 feet back, single arm kettlebell overhead lunge with the 24 again. And that for me was a great like metric to see where my movement capacities are at because the deadlifts were fine for me, and then um, the kettlebell overhead walking lunges after doing 3 other workouts felt super solid. Like the overhead position was a
Wow.
joke, and just my back wasn't blowing up, kind of stuff. It felt good. I mean, my knees were a
Yeah.
little bit banged up just from like smacking my knees into the ground, but overall it was just a really really good indicator
Nice.
of where I am.
Yeah, that's really good. Because if movement quality isn't on point on that one, you're going to get jacked up, especially with being fourth in the order.
Yep, and we actually won
Impressive.
that workout as well. So
Nice.
yeah. So out of I think 32 teams, we finished fourth. I think 3 points off the podium. So I was super happy. My partner was super happy with how everything went. It was just a cool experience to kind of, for me, just see what my training is doing, and then go back down to
Hmm.
the drawing board and see what things I can improve upon and move again from there. So it's more of like a hybrid of like seeing what my own performance is, but then also seeing what coaching and programming and I guess movement training will do for performance. So kind of like that
Hmm.
coaching side of it.
Yeah. Yeah. Kind of a test case.
Yes, yes.
Yeah.
And I imagine it's probably similar for you when like you do riding and stuff like that after doing certain training blocks and focusing on certain types of movements. Do you feel like you like kind of go back and be like, well, we did this, it felt great. Oh, we took away this and that kind of faltered a little bit. Do you find you're doing that too as well, Scotty?
Yeah, definitely trying to use as a metric and fine tuning and whatnot. It's a little harder to tell there because everything is so skill based.
Yeah.
There's not really ever a muscle that gets fatigued on except on really weird outlier things that you don't do that often, you know.
Yep.
Um, but with the planche work, I'm kind of definitely in that regards. I know some of the positional drills, breathing and rib cage positions definitely changed the feel of planching, and I'm recently starting the project to try to get a full planche, legs together. I've never
Wow.
really pushed beyond straddle. Not sure if it'll happen, but only one way to find out, and I figured that'll be one way to really shore the straddle up to make it that much stronger. And in doing so, I realize how much greater a forward lean it is than a straddle. That it almost has a completely different feel. Oh, I hear a train horn. This might be the train arriving here. It might get noisy. Not sure.
All right. Well,
But
we'll do our
so a
best.
straddle planche still has similarities
Yep.
to a plank in that you're kind of pushing straight down into the ground somewhat. Your
Uh
hands are
huh.
definitely back underneath your hips, but there's still a push. So when I add enough band tension, which 2 small bands I can do a few seconds of a full planche, it is much more of a front raise kind of feeling of your arms into the ground. So
Mm.
it's something really quick. So imagine, you're trying to straight arm raise a barbell in front of you, that kind of thing.
Oh, wow.
So
Okay.
imagine you deadlifted a bar, and now you're going to try to straight arm front raise it. But it's heavy
Wow.
enough you're only getting up to maybe say 30 to 40-degree angle.
Yep.
So if you did that with a supinated grip,
Oh, shoot.
imagine what that would sort of feel like. That's kind of the
Okay, so basically, what resists you falling on your face is you pulling up into the parallettes or rings or whatever it might be.
you're just pushing straight down, yeah, and then the arms like biceps. You see why gymnasts have
Oh my God.
significant
Yeah.
biceps. It's not actually because of the few muscle ups and rope climbs they do. I think it's probably
Yeah.
stabilizing the elbow and stuff like that.
Yeah. Wow, that's phenomenal. That's very cool. So, do you have any? Do you have like a plan of action of going forward for this, there, Scott?
Yeah, I have a kind of a protocol of isometric hold times and certain volumes that I seem to know work well for me. So I'm starting with the two bands. I'll work until I'll pull 12 seconds or more, and
Mm-hmm.
then I'll pull away one of the bands and start the process all over again.
Yeah.
And then at some point, if I can get that on the one single band, I probably can at least, I'll probably have an idea of how to do at least a second or two unsupported eventually. That's how it
Uh-huh.
seems to usually go.
What do you think your volume of training for this is going to be? Do you have like an idea what you want to do going in, or is it more kind of by feel and like that feedback kind of deal?
Yeah, I do a lot sort of auto-regulated, but
Yep.
I'm usually trying to complete somewhere between 35 to 40 seconds of hold time, broken up into a lot of small sets.
Yep.
So as I go, it becomes sort of density. My holds get longer, but I have to do fewer sets to achieve the same volume. With that said, there's days it's feeling good and I feel like I can maintain. I will push it a little beyond what I thought. And other days, sometimes the CNS just says, that's it, you're done. And you have to shut it down early. So, and it's fairly easy to tell even more because you're not moving. You feel it coming and you can kind of, once you do it enough, there's a definite feeling where I've hit my critical drop off here and it's time to move on. Though sometimes just to fill in volume, I'll add bands or switch to an easier version and just pick up some, accumulate some time at something that's still relatively easy. Similar concept to doing a back you might be doing.
Are you going to be using any augmentation for your training in terms of weight training and that kind of stuff, or is it more just focusing on the isometrics?
I typically use some actual pressing, whether that's uh, some form of planche push-ups sometimes, but I
Mm-hmm.
also alternate with weight-loaded stuff and kind of doing. I think I might do a little bit of heavy bench pressing, which I haven't done in like maybe a year and a half.
Yep.
Cycle that in for a little bit. I've been doing a fair amount of dumbbell pressing,
Okay.
and then doing a lot of split stance, single leg, like unilateral things with the stability component. So like dumbbell pressing with my pressing shoulder off the bench, which feels phenomenal on my shoulder, by the way.
Oh, really?
Like
Okay.
it's interesting. Yeah, I don't get any creakiness on that. Where sometimes on the when it's supported, I do. And same thing with a lot of pulling, and then a lot of rolling work to balance that out. So
Got it.
about a 2-to-1 row to pull to push.
Scott, I know in the past we've gone over there's like a gymnastics manual that you've talked about before in terms of like being able to get your one arm chin or prerequisite strength protocol or not protocols, prerequisite strength requisite or prerequisites for various gymnastics movements. Can you
Yeah.
recall what that would be to get a full planche? Like what those things would be? I know they're like dips, chin
Oh,
ups. Do you
yep.
remember what
There's
that was?
metrics there. Yes, I believe it is your dip 1RM needs to be like full body weight added. So
Okay.
double body weight dip for a 1RM. I know for straddle planche is recommending 3/4 of body weight.
Okay.
Um, yeah, it's Overcoming Gravity by Stephen Lowe is the
That's
book.
right.
If
Yes.
anybody's interested, it's phenomenal. It has all kinds of gymnastics skills and strength
Mm-hmm.
equivalents laid out. So you can look at that and be like, well, here I can do this, but over on the pulling side, I'm like 5 steps back. Well, it's probably an issue, and you might have some problems over time if
Yep.
you don't bring that up and balance it out. Or it could be why you're not progressing on a certain skill, for example.
Yep. What's also nice is I suppose that as you go through that, like, okay, I have this prerequisite strength, So maybe it's not a strength limitation, maybe it's a mobility or just a skill limitation for that particular movement, right?
Exactly. Yeah. Yeah. I worked as a dip because I think we probably talked about this, a year and a half ago.
Mm-hmm.
I knew my weighted dip wasn't where it had been. It wasn't in the range of what it should be for the straddle planche. So I
Yep.
did a training cycle and I got it almost up to where it needed to be. And then I think, for a little unfamiliarity, some of that pain you'll get
Yep.
sometimes through the sternum and whatnot. So I kind of backed off of it for a little bit.
Yeah. Last thing you want to do is rip your pec off your sternum.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. And I think that what that does is it also lends into what quality of dip or what quality of chin up are you actually able to achieve? Because I know for me, I think my best chin up ever was probably, let's say, 90 pounds to 100 pounds chin up strength, right? But that was chin slightly over the bar, a little bit extension, whatever. If I were
Yeah.
to do, okay, I'm going to do a hollow body chest to bar chin up, it probably would be somewhere around 25 or 30 pounds, probably. So I think that's a much better indicator of what my overall pulling strength would be. So if I were to take that and bring it to a metric like the one arm chin, that's what I would actually be going against. And I think the one arm chin is what, like half body weight for a chin up or something like that? Maybe
I
even
believe
more.
it's near body weight added.
That's okay. So near body weight added. So I'm about 140 pounds off of the one arm chin. You know what I mean? So
That puts it in perspective, right? Yeah.
exactly. If you're using like proper movement quality, and I
Right.
imagine like, do I need to get to 170-pound one arm or chin up to get to a one arm chin? I'm not sure, but if I got to a perfect 90 to 100-pound chest to bar chin, I think that would probably get me to like, all right, I'll probably be able to squeak one out once.
Or at least a short training protocol for because
Yes,
the joint angles are not the same as a regular chin.
exactly.
Having coached a few people to one arm chins, there's a different angular component that you just won't get from. So even if you had a pretty solid body weight added single chin, that doesn't necessarily mean you'll just go knock out a one arm chin first go.
Yep.
Yeah, you're definitely not far from it, but because it's a different angle,
Yep.
it's not. Yeah, it doesn't necessarily equate.
And I also appreciate the fact that there's probably a lot of contra, like I don't know contralateral, but opposing movement requisites as well. Because, like you said, you need to have balance. So if like you have a dip that is, like you said, close to body weight for getting a full planche, but your upper body pulling is so far behind, it probably actually holds you back from getting that planche until you actually pull up those other numbers, I imagine.
Yeah, yeah, you hit a spot, you just won't really progress, and your body will attempt to protect itself, or you'll develop, you know, movement pattern compensations where
Yeah.
everything is, you know, injury becomes much more likely, whether it's actually in the process of training or in some other activity, because things are out of balance so drastically. Humeral head starts drifting around, things like that.
So it's interesting, Scott, as we're talking about this, and now as I'm transitioning out of the competing phase into perhaps some new goals, one of the goals that I had, I think from 2 years ago, was finally getting my one arm chin. So, say you are now my coach and you are saying, all right, my client wants a one arm chin. What's the first step that you would go about since you have kind of coached some people through the one arm chin? What's the first step in that process of getting yourself toward that one arm chin?
Yeah, so generally seeing, I would assess, what is your two-arm pulling strength, both what it looks like from a quality perspective and then absolute perspective, what kind of load can you pull. Um, Training history, of course, which I know you've trained forever, so that's not an issue.
Mm-hmm.
And then usually we would start in some sort of a progression that's a little more specific, assuming that you have pulling strength with two arms that's, good enough. So that's going to be things like, depending, we might do archer pull-ups on the ring, so that can be a little advanced.
Mm-hmm.
Others, it's going to be a single arm chin where we take like a climbing, or usually a short climbing rope or something where you hang over. It can be a heavy band that's not going to stretch, so you grab it at a certain distance, and so you give yourself a little bit of assistance, basically.
Mm-hmm.
But it starts to get you pulling into the vector that you want to be in. Uh, we, I actually have a single ring harness, which cuts your body weight in half, which starts
Wow.
to groove the actual lean and the actual angles that you would need for a one arm chin.
Yep.
That's pretty easy to rig up. So that's something I think probably most people use it for volume. So when someone is getting stronger, now I can do more hypertrophy type sets on that thing. And then eccentrics, once someone is strong enough, lock offs, then eccentrics with pauses, and then eventually concentric reps from there.
If you're going to integrate isometrics on this, Scott, what angles or what areas of that chin would be most important, like the priority ones?
Wow. You need all of them, of course, because strength is very angle specific.
Let's say in the beginning,
usually people
like
will
that
be
person,
able,
they're dead hanging and they're like, dude, I can't move. Or
Yeah,
maybe they have
so,
minimal
scapular.
Okay.
Yeah, so one thing, of course, we look at, is a person real competent with scapular pull-ups and arching hangs and things like that. And then single arm hanging. And if you don't have at least a good 30-second single arm hang, it's relatively pointless. So that's a prerequisite that we would work on. And then good, clean, controlled single arm scap pull-up work. That would be another prerequisite. Then the first angles you're going to really be able to achieve would be the top. So lock-offs can be, even without training, I've seen people and I've done single arm lock-offs. So start there, then it would be the top angle. So the bottom, usually the toughest part is a little bit, so you've got your scap pull-up, and then once you get, kind of in here is going to be probably the hardest.
Yeah, when you're
So
transitioning from, okay, your scap is now packed, now you have to keep that packed, keep your shoulder posteriorly tilted, and then pull the ring to you.
Correct, exactly. Yeah, so that's probably the last to come.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Very interesting.
So, don't neglect any angles.
Yeah, exactly. And when you are looking at this, because I'm thinking about doing this, and usually I'm like, oh, I'll give myself like 3 months, whatever. I'm thinking of this like a 1-year deal. Like if we were going to sit down a year from now, I think that's probably something that's, my brain says, no, like this is, that's a long way away. But like realistically, I think that's probably what it would take to do a solid one-arm chin.
Probably, yeah. I would say you expect it to be taking a while. For sure.
And being okay with like just okay, you're going to be doing this one movement for a month.
Oh yeah, and it's very
without
much
progressing.
Like
it's just you work on that little isometric and you just do it and do it and do it and do it.
It takes a lot of patience because it's going to be boring training.
Yes,
for a while. Yeah.
What type of frequency would you suggest there, Scott? What have you done in the past?
I definitely would do it at least a couple of times a week. It's something you need to expose your nervous system to. And once you get into the training of ways, I would boost the frequency. It can, once your tendons and ligaments and the connective tissue is used to the load a number of months in, you might try sort of a grease the groove protocol a little bit. I wouldn't use that as a long-term plan, but that can be a good way to boost gains. But in general, I would say 2 to 3 times a week. If you did two definite pulling sessions on one arm to start, and then I would probably have a one in the middle that was a lighter, more flushing hypertrophy base. So you wouldn't be doing isometrics or any real heavy stuff. So this could be more repetition work on a 2-arm chin. It could be rope climbing. It could be if you have one of those single ring harnesses, you could do some reps there.
Yep.
So supportive work and definitely
don't neglect those repetition volume deals.
No, yeah. For a while, you'll get progress, but you'll plateau if you don't keep that stuff in there.
So you need some eccentric volume, or just repetition volume, that kind of stuff.
Yeah, concentric work. Yep. And then don't neglect horizontal pulling patterns too. There definitely needs to be some problems if you don't do some row work.
Yeah,
which I think row work actually does carry over, rather nicely.
Yeah, I think in a couple ways, just thinking about it, is it really reinforces what the rib cage position should feel like. So that when you do put your arm over your head, you're not getting into that flared position.
Right.
And I guess that lower rhomboid area that's super important, like low trap, low rhomboid, is a little easier to hone in on that with the horizontal pulling. Whereas that upper body, that vertical pulling, it's so important for it, but it's harder to actually access that sometimes just because the entire shoulder complex is just in a different position.
Yeah, totally. Yep.
But all right, cool. So I'm going to lay out some plans, and
Yeah.
maybe next week we can start going over some of those things and
Well,
start moving toward the one arm chin by 2020.
yes, that sounds good.
Yeah, man. You got
Looks
anything
like
else for today there, Scotty? I know you're about to
oh,
jump on a
looks like
train.
people are starting to line up to board here,
Perfect.
and
So,
it is just dumping rain. This is going to be awesome.
oh man, well, stay dry there, Scotty. And if we can reach you, how do we reach you?
I'm Scott at CrossFitPortland.com.
And I'm Sean at CrossFitDelrayBeach.com. I did it this week, but I didn't even give my full name. I'm Sean LaFlock. Anyway,
I'm
guys,
Scott Hagnes.
get online, like us, follow us, subscribe to the podcast, give us a review, 5 stars, please. Trying to grow the podcast as best as we can. We want to share our knowledge with everybody. Scott, I appreciate it, man. Safe travels. Enjoy your week. Hopefully in the sun.
Will do. Yeah, it'll be here in a few days. It's all
Awesome,
good.
buddy. I'll see you next week.
Okay, take care, brother.
There. Bye.
Later.